Hey everyone, this is discjunkie, and today it's time to review the Poughkeepsie tapes. This is a film from 2007, directed by Erick Dowdle, co-written with his brother Drew Dowdle under the joint alias the Dowdle Brothers.
Are you ready?
The film itself is a horror mockumentary, which is the common term for a fake documentary. And like most movies in this particular subgenre, the entire film sort of consists of so-called found footage, which the audience is supposed to accept as real footage, even though it's not.
Do you mind if I film this? I'm making a little movie about my trip.
Knock yourself out.
Now, I had never heard about this movie before, and one of the reasons why it's so unknown is because it's never gotten a release on any format whatsoever. It's not on VHS, it's not on DVD, it's not on Blu-ray.
I'm not supposed to talk to strangers.
Well, you're not supposed to have bad manners either.
The entire film is constructed as the kind of documentary that you might have seen on Discovery Channel, and it really has that made-for-TV atmosphere, which I think is one of the main reasons why it feels so believable, or at least to me as a viewer.
After what we're going to see here today, 3 of you will go home tonight and decide that this is not what you want with your life.
The basic plot can be laid out as follows. While searching through an abandoned house, the local small-town police of the town of Poughkeepsie come across these old boxes with just a huge amount of old videotapes.
This is the house where they found the Poughkeepsie tapes.
Which in itself doesn't seem like much of a movie plot, but when the police start viewing these tapes, they realize that there are in fact hundreds and hundreds of clips of people being shown as murdered, dismembered, and just plain out tortured by this crazed serial killer who seems like he's been doing this for decades.
Until we got our hands on those tapes, we had no idea what we were dealing with.
And so then the film proceeds by showing us all these interview clips and TV segments and compiling a whole bunch of footage from various sources to make it seem like this is an event that has actually occurred. And even though the film is actually based on real events from what I understand, or sort of inspired by actual events if you want to call it that, it is actually a fake documentary, although I think it's a really good one.
How graphic? Can I get in this? Okay. It's pretty gruesome.
And through all these clips from various sources, we begin to piece together this entire story of what actually happened. So it is a documentary set up to show us a past case in this sort of police archive. But as any documentary, it's told in glimpses, so I mean, we don't really know the ending of it all before we get there.
What kind of are going to be movie stars?
And now I'm pretty numb in terms of horror movies, and watching stuff like Hostel and Saw is basically like every day to me. And I think it's rare today to find a horror movie that you really can take to heart upon first viewing, and that really has you on the edge of your seat through the entire movie. But being a fan of made-for-TV documentaries like the Discovery Channel or Forensic Detectives or whatnot, I really took this movie to heart and was just totally engulfed by it when I saw it the first time.
His genitals had been removed and they were placed in a sock drawer in the master bedroom.
And I think what made it so appealing to me is the fact that the entire movie, throughout the film from beginning to end, a really huge portion of the footage we get to see is the actual footage from the killer's own documentary tapes. So we get to see all of this really low quality video deterioration material that the killer has shot himself, and there's a lot of video noise and, you know, all these effects to make it look like tapes are really worn and old, and, you know, there's, yeah.
Like this?
Yes.
Now, a lot of people didn't like the effects, but I thought that the deterioration of the tapes and the image quality being very poor just added to the sense of horror altogether, because it really felt all that more real to me when you really have to like sit and you're watching this, you know, pixely screen and you're like, okay, what is actually going on in this? Because, you know, it's not always cropped right, you don't always have like, you know, the main character in the middle and like people off to the side, because sometimes you can just see like the video recording of a handheld camera and you got something at the bottom of the screen and you're trying to focus on it. It just felt real to me, and that's the thing that really, you know, captivated the senses and made it be like, okay, what's gonna happen next? So if you like horror movies in this sort of found footage category, like Blair Witch, The Last Broadcast, Cloverfield, you know, anything with sort of handheld, shaky camera, I think you're really gonna like this. But be sure to note that it is actually quite a graphic and pretty dark documentary.
So it's important that each of you ask yourself, do I really want to surround myself with these terrible things?
And had it been an actual documentary on TV, I'm pretty sure there would be a whole lot of parental advisory, and I'm not really sure that it would be broadcasted on TV, because it is actually pretty grim. And I don't think you're gonna like it if you're like into the whole happy Hollywood ending thing.
And it's okay if you don't.
But for a really hardcore mockumentary, check out the Poughkeepsie tapes. Just one of the most awesome horror movies I've seen in recent years. And I pray to Satan himself that it gets a really, really good special edition release now that the director has gone on to make more successful horror movies like Quarantine and most recently Devil, which I thought was a really, really good horror movie and also very, very stylish looking for that matter.
And this isn't the kind of thing that just happens. He must have practiced this motion thoroughly to get it right.
Well, that's all for this time. Be sure to check out the links in the underbar for more info about the movie I've just reviewed. And if you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer them in the comments below.